Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency to order on June 5th, 2023 at 5:17 and confirm that there's a quorum present. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve the May 8th, 2023 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence. We've been receiving emails forwarded to us as they're received by our office. Everybody had a chance to take a look at those? Okay. We have the treasurer's report, right?
So the report for May 2023, cash in the checking account, the balance as of May 31st was $44,456.15. In the money market account, the balance was $45,058.24. Interest earned for the month was $3.83. In the project deposit account, there was a transfer made on May 18th to pay legal fees associated with the project in the amount of $73,586.25. The account earned interest of $10.27 for the month, and the deposit remaining as of May 31st was $76,413.75. Revenues for the month of May included services billed for CAT project in the amount of $14,132.50. Credits issued for the reduction of late pilot penalties in the amount of $5,100.79, and interest earnings of $28.37. And expenses for the month of May totaled $17,167.88.
Okay, can I ask for a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make that motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
There are no committee reports this month.
That's correct,
Okay.
ma'am.
So the next order of business is old business. I'd ask either Tracy or Bill if you could explain the resolution authorizing collection of previously deferred payment in lieu of tax benefits for John Wesley Village.
Sure, I'll start. Bill, to refresh your memory, the agency was advised by legal some time ago that the Town of Riverhead Board of Assessors advised an IDA client, John Wesley Village 1, that a pro rata assessment of taxation would be levied against their property in 2019-2020 tax bill. He advised us at that time of the impact and legal implications of that action as it affected the agency's pilot payment and the subsequent payments by the agency to the taxing jurisdictions. Pro rata provisions of real property tax law do not apply to transfers of exempt property to the agency. Therefore, John Wesley Village filed a lawsuit seeking to annul this determination and seek a refund of the payment, which was $789,000. John Wesley prevailed in this suit against the town assessment, and as such, however, it took a couple of years for them to be reimbursed of the overpayment of taxes. The agency's pilot agreement with the company dictates that pilot payments are replaced by real property taxes if such taxes are charged. Therefore, no pilot was due during this time as a result of the $789,000 payment. Now that John Wesley has been reimbursed, the agency can collect the pilot payments that were due during that time and distribute to the taxing jurisdictions. Therefore, before you is Resolution 2423, authorizing the collection of the previously deferred tax pilot payments. Did I leave anything out, Bill?
No, I think you got it all.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve this resolution. Is there, we want to make the motion?
So a motion to approve resolution 24-23.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Anybody have any questions? We've been being kept up to date throughout the whole process, so, okay. Can I get a vote then? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Next order of business is Resolution 2223, authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing with respect to the modification of the pilot benefit for Restaurant Depot America.
Yes. So the agency recently received correspondence from Assessor Tenenberg that the Board of Assessors did not believe a significant enough amount of improvements would be made to the Restaurant Depot project property to warrant an increase to the assessment. Although this does not come as a surprise, since historically the agency has found that interior renovations have not typically impacted the assessment of projects, but they are the experts and assessing authorities. So despite arguing that point, the agency had requested and received an estimated assessment on the proposed project from the Board of Assessors. This is a practice the agency does on every project necessary to calculate the proposed pilot payments. The estimate provided by the board at the time, the Board of Assessors, at the time the project was being processed, increased the assessment by about $717,000. Therefore, the agency drafted pilot payments based on that projected increase. As stated, the Assessor's Office has now informed the agency that it will not be increasing the assessment. Therefore, we need to adjust the pilot payment. Additionally, they have chosen not to exempt the property and ignore the 412A form, which authorizes the IDA to exempt the property. So this further complicates matters, and I will let legal take it from here.
Sure, yeah, so it's really kind of two separate issues. One is the fact that the assessment is not going to be what the Board of Assessors told Tracy, and so for that reason, Tracy would like to reduce the pilot payments to essentially give the benefit that Restaurant Depot had understood they were getting when they signed the pilot documents. And then the separate issue, I guess just to go back to that one. So that one, we need to hold a public hearing, and then we'll authorize the reduction of the pilot schedule at the next opportunity after the public hearing. And then the other point Tracy alluded to is in that letter that the assessor sent to Tracy, she noted that she wasn't going to accept the application for the exemption at all. So in other words, she's not going to take the IDA facility off the tax rolls for the upcoming tax year, which we disagree with, and we've been in contact with Restaurant Depot, and they're taking steps to address that issue. So that's for the board's information. It's not before the board for the vote. The only thing for a vote is authorizing a public hearing to adjust the pilot payments.
But this is exactly like John Wesley Village, where she refused to accept an IDA pilot, even though the statute is quite clear that it's not discretionary on her part.
Did you understand that?
I didn't hear what he said.
So he said this is the same situation as John Wesley Village, and the assessor's office doesn't have the statutory authority to deny the application. It's just a formal filing.
Okay, so the resolution before us just calls for the public hearing.
That is correct.
For the purpose of considering adjustments to the initial pilot
Correct.
agreement. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve
Is there a
resolution
second?
2223.
Sorry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Resolution 2323, authorizing publication of a notice of public hearing with respect to the modification of pilot benefits for Browning Hotel Properties, LLC.
Okay. So we received correspondence from Herman Katz, Kangemi and Klein, if that's the way you say it, a law firm representing Browning Hotels, informing us of a judgment from a tax certiorari. They had also brought against the Town of Riverhead Board of Assessors for an overassessment. The order corrects an overassessment from 2020, 21, 22, 23, from $5,054,000 down to $3,739,086 for those 3 years. The court order provides that to the extent pilot payments in these preceding years exceeds the amount due on the now reduced assessment, such excess shall appear as a credit on the near future pilot payments. Therefore, Resolution 2323 calls for a public hearing to also make amendment to the pilots to correct the error of assessment
Okay.
and amend the pilot.
Bill, did you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think, I don't have anything else. Terrence, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was good, Tracy.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2323?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairwoman, I would just like to note that the problem for the agency is the impact on our reporting and perception by the public in the future that the agency is now eroding the tax base. And that's, you know, that is not going to look well on the agency, but it is not to any fault of the agency. We're actually taking corrective measures through the pilot payment for the erroneous tax assessments due to another agency. But unfortunately, this may drop these pilot payments down to next to nothing if they're significant enough, or they're greater than the actual pilot payment.
But we've been in contact with the taxing jurisdictions to
Not
kind of...
yet,
Okay,
because
let them know what's
I needed
going
action
on.
by the board first.
Okay.
But they will be informed once there is a change. Yeah, the judgments in the court order are being used to provide the credits to the property owners. And so the board's aware. I think I forwarded, we've received 5 more notices of 5 more projects that are going to grieve their assessments as well. Those are just IDA projects.
Okay. That is all we have in terms of new business. Now we're scheduled to go into an executive session to discuss legal matters.
That's correct.
So can I get a motion to adjourn the adjourn or,
Adjourn, correct, Bill?
no, not adjourn.
Not
We'll have to come
adjourning,
back in.
you're voting to go
Going
into
into
exec.
exec session. Just to go into the exec session.
Okay, so it's kind of
And Tracy, what you need to do is stop the Zoom meeting, and we have to, I guess, probably reconvene via a telephone conference. Terrence, do you want to send to Melon and Tracy and me a call-in number that we can all call in? So everybody on the Zoom will get off the Zoom and use just a call-in number.
Okay, I can, okay.
What, do you have a separate plan, Tracy?
The only attendees by Zoom are council.
Are you sure of that?
Yes?
we had to individually let each of you in, so I'm assuming that,
Could
Yes.
you publicly update where you are on FCAL? I mean, there are 20 people here that would like to know what's going on, and if you could at least give a 5-minute summary of where you are on that process.
this is part of why we're going into exec session to get the latest update. I don't know if there's anything that,
No, we're discussing legal.
yeah,
Situation.
it's a legal matter. I mean, we're
But is there
kind
nothing
of,
about where you are on the process?
we're still
It's
in
not
our
safe.
due diligence phase. We're still conducting our due diligence. I'm sorry, there's not more at this point that we can
I think it would be very
share.
helpful if you put on your monthly agenda an update of what has happened in the past month. That would you know, you don't have people here on an afternoon just for, because they had
Once in a-
nothing else to
yeah.
do with their time. They're here because they really care about what's going on and hope it's not all going on behind the scenes until a public announcement of your conclusions, so.
We will share as much as we can when we can share it, but at this point, we've got nothing to update you on, unfortunately. We'll see what we can do in terms of including something in the agenda moving forward, but at this point, there's nothing to share. So we do want to go into exec session and have a discussion with our attorney. So we'll be ending the meeting now. We'll be reopening it, but there'll be no actions taken when we respond, okay? Thank you for coming. Yes, so we do need, do we get a motion to adjourn?
No, you need a motion to go into exec session?
I'll
Yes.
move to enter exec session.
Okay.
That
All those in
was
favor?
Doug Williams.
That was Doug and Lee.
Mendelson at 5:34.
5:34.
Executive session.